Welcome to the station wagon. I'm the older brother, Marc.
And I'm little sister Julie. This is the podcast where my brother and I give up something we take for granted and tell you how it goes.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hey, Julie, how you doing?
I'm good. I think this episode has been a long time coming because we're talking about dreams and dream interpretation.
We sure are. And before we get started, I just want to ask our listeners if they think our entry music is a little too loud relative to our voices. I've been listening to it recently and feeling, and maybe it's just because I just turned 48, which is pretty dang old.
Wow, you're old. You said that on air.
What's that? I know. The rock and roll music that we play at the beginning of the show sounds too loud to me nowadays.
You know I can just edit the volume of that.
What? You cannot. Really?
Okay.
Cool. Well, hi, Julie. Thanks for fixing that for me.
You're welcome. So, dude, you have been interested in dreams and dream interpretation for a long time.
I have?
Yes. I remember when you came home from college,
Yeah.
when, I don't know, you were taking some sociology class and you asked Mom if during winter break, or maybe it was even Thanksgiving break, you could wake me up in the middle of the night to ask me what I was dreaming about. And
Oh my God, I don't remember that. How did that go for you?
she wouldn't let you. And I was like,
Oh,
please, it's
man.
vacation. I don't mind. We were both up for it. And I was like, come on, Mark, let's just do it anyway. But you were a good boy.
I was. That's true. Nailed it.
What happened to you?
I don't know. So what kind of grade did I get on that? Mom made me fail that class?
I think it was just for your own interest. Like when you and Rob used to have me do Piagetian tasks and stuff.
Boy, I don't even know what you're talking about now. You've lost me.
We would like do conservation of mass tasks. You had me and Aaron Gohl sit down with a beaker, like a wide beaker and a thin beaker, and tell you which had more and less and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
learned a lot from that. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, older brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Skinner box I've totally blocked out.
Well, Julie, dreams are amazing and super, super helpful for
Okay,
things,
so we're
right?
going to do a quiz and then some history and then
Right.
the real part, which is science.
You know, that is so hurtful when you say that.
Yeah. Let me on the quiz because I think I'm on a winning streak now.
Maybe. We'll see here. Okay, so there's
Okay.
3 questions, multiple choice, all right?
Okay.
Question number 1. In the movie Dreamscapes, how did the hero and the others enter other people's dreams? Was it through injection of an Amazon jungle plant nectar, a human-made directional wormhole, or psychic powers?
I remember. Oh no, I'm mixing it up with the movie Brainstorm.
Oh,
go
Brainstorm was awesome too, but no.
Yeah, I'll go with B.
No, it was psychic powers. So,
Really?
it's from 1984. A government-funded project looks into using psychics to enter other people's dreams. Blah, blah, blah. And some people were killing people in dreams and stuff.
Sounds like Stranger Things.
Don't spoil it for me. I've never seen that show.
It's about you, dude.
We don't have Netflix.
So, folks, we're or Mark at least was in Indiana at that point in his life, and an avid Dungeons and Dragons player.
True. +1 pole arm, baby.
Okay, so I'm down 1 point.
Okay,
on
you're
this
down 1
quiz.
point. So this next question is about how close you can get to a dream interpretation, like an official dream interpretation that I found.
Official.
Yeah, official from Schoenwolf's The Dictionary of Dream Interpretation. Tell me what this dream means. If a person dreams a cat ate a baby in a dream, what does that mean? Is it aggression is an unavoidable part of the circle of life? Cats are awesome and protect us from bad decisions. You have a constant feeling of being unfulfilled.
I'm going to bring this back as an example in science when I talk about why all of this is BS. And listeners, in case you didn't hear me on our last episode, I don't believe in dream interpretation, and I'll get to why in a little bit. But
Okay.
for the sake of
Yeah,
your
go
little
ahead.
quiz, I'll go with A.
Well, actually, it's none of the above. And the right answer, and I actually like Schoenhauer, or what's his name? What did I say his name was?
Gimme.
Schoenwolf. I like Schoenwolf's book. I actually got 4 different dream interpretation books from the library to skim through for this episode. And this one was the least maddening. Basically, In the Dictionary of Dream Interpretation, you have to interpret a dream based on who the dreamer is, what his or her current mental and emotional life is, and what his or her associations to the dream are. So basically taking the context of the person into the dream interpretation model. So in this case, the dreamer was a 4-year-old boy whose mother had just brought home a brand new baby sister from the hospital. And the association was that he kept asking his mother if he could hold the baby, and she refused, saying that he might drop her. And this made him sad and angry. And so the interpretation is that it's a manifestation of sibling rivalry and the wishes of getting rid of the child in various ways.
Very interesting.
So my response to that is like, yeah, duh, that makes a lot of sense. But it could also be aggression is a constant part of the cycle of life.
Or just random neurons firing.
Just random neurons firing. But I also wanted to pull out a question here that was all about sibling rivalry, which is what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
So, Julie, I'm sorry you didn't get that one right either. Okay.
All right.
So
this last one is the most powerful one of all, right? And if I get this one, I win the whole thing?
Yes, Julie, that's exactly right. Yay.
Cool.
Okay, so are you familiar with the painting The Nightmare by Fuseli from 1781?
Yes, I have been in dorm rooms.
Right. Was it hanging next to a Klimt?
Right, exactly.
Or the wall? Okay, so can you describe it for our listeners?
It's the blue or it's like a very bluish and starry, and there's a man screaming who looks kind of ghostly.
No. That's the Scream.
Is that the Scream?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Ooh, I suck.
Yeah. Do you want to try again?
No, I don't remember.
Because now you're in quiz point debt.
Tell me, I'm not remembering it. I'm going to Google it.
Okay,
right
so this you'll remember this. Basically, it's a beautiful painting using chiaroscuro shading with a woman lying on a bed with her arms kind of up over her head. She looks like she's asleep, and there's what looks like a little creature or monster sitting on her chest, and in the background is a horse or a horse's head sticking its head through some curtains. Also in the background is like an unfinished painting of a girl.
And it's called The Nightmare?
The Nightmare.
I like the other one better.
And actually in the movie Gothic, they reproduced that picture in one of the scenes of the movie. It was really cool.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, so anyway, your quest here is to tell me what was the inspiration. I'm going to give you 3 choices. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Contemporary belief at his time, remember this is 1781, that demons and witches possessed the people who slept alone.
Ooh.
It was unrequited love of Fuseli from a woman named Anna Landholt in Zurich. So like he was like trying to get back at her through this painting. Mm-hmm. Or a dream symbol of male libido with the sexual act represented by the horse's head intruding through the curtain.
I'll go through with male libido.
Yeah, it's all of the above. Well, it could be all of the above. He never actually said what his inspiration was. It's never been recorded. And this is just a lot of hypotheses by various artists, people who do that sort of thing. What do you call them?
Sure. Yeah. No, art interpretation, dream interpretation. Right. This all sounds really scientific.
Yeah, totally right. So that was really terrible, Julie. You missed that one too. And you obviously went to the wrong dorm rooms also.
I know. I feel like I'm giving you a real hard time today. I know this is something you're into, and I should just lay off the fact that it's all completely BS, and I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I think it's BS. I mean, it's really interesting. So in, Carl Jung, are you going to talk about Carl Jung at all?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I will just hold my thought on that one then. So let me give you a little bit of history. Now, my history this time around is all about the movies that I like that center around dreams. And so tell me, what I'd love to hear from you is if you've seen these and if you like them also.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So 1972 Solaris. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
It was really recently remade with George Clooney, but basically the premise is that this astronaut has to go to this space station hovering over the planet Solaris and help out there because people are dying off. And what's amazing about it is that when you go to sleep over this planet, somehow Solaris interprets your dreams and makes the things that are really important to you come to life. So like the main character's dead wife just repopulates inside of the space station. And so it's a sci-fi movie, but it's also this deep psychological movie about, well, how do you deal with this person who knows everything about you, but is not really your wife? Yeah, super interesting. Love it. Highly recommend it. Either the original or the remake. 1990, Total Recall.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, come on. You're so full of garbage. You haven't seen Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, I know who he is.
Oh, my God. All right. So Total Recall, Julie, is a movie where in the future you can basically experience anything you want by having dreams and memories implanted into your brain.
So do you think watching all these movies as a young person is why you're so obsessed with dreams?
I'm not obsessed with dreams. What the heck are you talking about?
Sure.
We're doing a dream episode, period. Okay.
Okay.
1991, the movie Until the End of the World. Have you heard of that one?
Nope.
What? I'm sure I've made you see this. Okay.
All the Pixies you made me listen to, which
right.
I now love.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let me get back to it then.
So much. Okay.
Yeah, this is very distressing for me. Just your lack of understanding of popular media, because all of these movies definitely fall into the popular media category.
No, not history.
No, and history, of course, it overlaps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Until the End of the World was basically a sci-fi road movie where the basically William Hurt and Solveig Martin travel around with a device that helps blind people see by recording the vision of a sighted person. And then the blind person can essentially watch the recording, except they find out later that they can strap this thing on while they're sleeping and it will record their dreams. And the two main characters get addicted to looking at their dreams because it would be super amazing to do that. Yeah. And I think at that point, yes, I would be obsessed by it. Yeah. Okay, what would you do if you could see your dreams, Julie? Would you want to? Would you?
No.
You wouldn't want to. Why not?
What we're going to do halfway through our episode is record our dreams for a couple of weeks. And I guess, I don't know, maybe if I'm dreaming about really fun stuff, then sure. I remember when I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer a lot, I'd have dreams that I was a superhero, and those dreams were pretty fun.
So you wouldn't want to see your dreams because you wouldn't want to see the negative content that might be inside your nightmares?
Exactly. I don't even like being alone with my thoughts when I'm awake.
Oh, that's so sad. So sad. Okay, two more. Can you guess which two movies I'm going to say?
Give me a second. I'll cut out some of this empty audio.
All right, you're done.
Okay.
1999, The Matrix. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I hope everybody's seen it by now. But in the first half of the movie, essentially, Neo, the main character, was locked in a dream controlled by this huge computer system.
And oh my gosh, have you seen Jessica Jones yet? Because
no.
Trinity plays a really good character in it, and it's so different than Trinity, an actor who plays Trinity, and she's amazing.
Really?
Okay,
cool.
Continue.
Is that a Netflix thing too?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to see if we can start watching Netflix around here. Last one is the 2010 movie Inception. Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell us about that.
I should have guessed that one. You're able to incept people's dreams and get in there and do stuff to them? I don't know.
That's exactly right. You can get in there and do stuff. Precisely.
But it changes their reality somehow?
Right. The deeper, you can get inside of a person's dream, and then while you're inside their dream, you can get inside their dreamer's dream and keep going layers and layers down. And the further down you are in the dreamer's dreaming layers, the more control you have over their psyche and psychology.
There's a really good Rick and Morty episode about it.
I don't know Rick and Morty. Yeah. Well, that is everything that you need to know about history. And Julie, for you,
yeah,
you need to watch all these movies because you're missing out.
Okay, I definitely want to see Total Recall at a minimum. But
don't watch the remake. Watch the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's so bad.
Do watch the original. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, do watch the original.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so I'll just summarize a little bit of history too that you didn't mention, but I'm assuming
good.
Is an assumption that people have been interested in dreams for a long time across many cultures. We're not the first people to ever think of, hey, this stuff might be important. And dream interpretation is pretty common in different religions. I mean, in the Bible, there's lots of interesting stories about dreams and them having different kinds of truths and real effects on the characters. I guess I shouldn't say characters in the Bible. What do you call them? People? Anyway, so dreams have been important. And in our modern European history, you mentioned Carl Jung and, of course, Freud are probably the two biggest names that have had major, major impacts in dreams and how they've been interpreted and just how they've been used in medicine. Is that accurate for history?
Is it accurate? I don't know. You could be making the whole thing up. What do you want from me?
You're a historian. Do we need to have a meeting to talk about roles on this podcast?
We can have a Daisy discussion. Yeah, so Jung in
Did you say racy? Make a racy chart?
Well, we do Daisy, driver, approver, contributor, and informed.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell me all about that model. I'm going to bring it up at the next project meeting I have and try to impress our project managers.
Well, okay, that sounds great. Yeah, let's have a whole episode about Daisy. Sounds good. Hey, listeners, if you want to learn more about Daisy, just let us know in Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and I'm happy to talk your ears off of it. So in Jung in 1971, it was interesting. He found dreams displayed universal archetypes of a shared collective unconscious.
Okay, now when you say he found this,
came up with the idea.
He stated,
right? Like he was like, wow, I've just smoked a lot of good weed, and here's what I think now.
Yeah. Okay, so where do dreams come from? That's what I want to start with. And there's tons of theories out there. Again, because people have been interested in dreams for a very, very long time. We sleep a lot and we dream a lot. So
we sleep like 5% of our whole lives.
So I want to talk about 4 really common theories, and I'll do it briefly. The first one is my favorite. This is the cognitive viewpoint, which is basically dreams are just us processing information. It's just another way that we think about all the things we experience during the day.
So those thoughts that you experience and that you can't be alone with are actually just continuing to go on while you're sleeping.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is especially true for things that you might see and not have time to process. So let's say you're driving to work and on your way, you see like a really big, weird cat. But right as soon as you see that, then something interesting comes on the radio and your attention's then diverted to the thing on the radio. Or, forgive me, on the podcast.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense.
Let me finish here.
All right, go ahead.
So that big weird cat that you kind of wanted to think about for a minute,
yeah,
it's still in your brain, right? You haven't forgotten about that. And
well,
then
that's what. Go ahead.
Later that night, you dream that the big weird cat eats a baby.
Way to circle. That was pretty good, actually. But the reason it doesn't make sense to me is because what it takes to get something from like what short-term memory into long-term memory. You know, and
it doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. You sure? So I always thought, are you sure about that? Because I always thought that when you're thinking about something and if you get distracted, boom, it's out of your short-term memory. But what you're saying is
it's out of your work.
Oh, right. So there's working memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory?
That's right. And here's the thing. A lot of stuff, I almost said a bad word, a lot of stuff is in your long-term memory. It's just what's really hard is pulling it back up, right? And accessing it. And so anyway, you think about tons of stuff. You see tons and tons of stuff. If you hadn't seen a big weird cat, if you'd just seen a regular cat, yeah, it probably wouldn't be in your long-term memory.
Got it.
It's just a regular cat. But you saw a really big one. You saw a baby eating cat.
I did.
You know, that thing's big enough to eat a baby.
Cool. Got it.
Maybe that's what you thought about.
Okay, next.
So cognitive viewpoint. You see tons of stuff during the day.
And that was your first, that's your favorite one. So we're just going to go downhill from here, huh?
Exactly. Okay, the next one is called the activation synthesis hypothesis. And this is the one where basically just during sleep, our neurons in the brainstem are just firing spontaneously and it's confusing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so our cortex synthesizes it into dreams to like integrate the sensory experience so that we're not confused. And it's just a totally biological thing that's happening.
That's interesting.
It's just a theory. It's a hypothesis.
It's just a hypothesis. So is there any, if it's just completely random, then why do some of these things, is it after the fact that we look at the randomness and try to associate it with something that actually happened? In
your dreams, you're thinking about things from your life. Like you might be thinking about the baby you saw next door. And then your neurons fire spontaneously and all of a sudden a big ugly cat's in your dream. And so then your brain is like, this is confusing. Why is there a big ugly cat here?
Got it.
Okay, well, the cortex is going to make it so that the cat ate the baby. And that's why there's a big ugly cat there. And now everything makes sense and your dream can continue.
Ah, it's interesting. Okay.
It's just a hypothesis. It's based on people having CAT scans done while they're sleeping, you know, looking at the way our
Was the cat being scanned while it was eating the baby?
You're such a dad. I love it. Okay,
So wait, no, but the first one was also just a theory, right? I mean, there's no way to prove what dreams are or what causes dreams yet, is there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess you could do studies where you have like 100 people and you put them in a cult so that they're all doing the same exact thing every day, and then you start varying things a little.
Right.
Okay. So, and also dreams are all based on self-report too, right? You're woken up suddenly. Oftentimes you don't even remember your dreams. Right. It's more the REM sleep that you remember.
Okay, when number 3.
Waking up slowly. Okay. These last two are the first two basically are saying dreams are not important, right? Cognitive viewpoint, activation, synthesis viewpoint. It's just dreams are happening. Don't pay too much heed.
Wait. I'm so sorry to interrupt you again, but if just because they're triggered by potential randomness, doesn't necessarily mean that their impact isn't important.
I would argue that it definitely means that, and I'll get to that in a little while.
Cool.
Okay, so the other two theories are the psychodynamic view, and whenever you hear psychodynamic, just think Freud.
Yeah.
It's a little different from Freud, but based on Freud.
Okay.
And then the Jungian view, or the Jungian view, or however you want to pronounce it, depending on who you are and where you went to school. Mm-hmm. Okay, so psychodynamic view.
What if I was the Police writing the song Synchronicity?
I don't know. How did they pronounce it?
I don't know. They're from England, though, so I don't know how that would sound.
Well, Jung wasn't from England, so it doesn't really matter.
No, okay, good point.
Okay. Anyway, maybe he was. Actually, I don't know. I just made that up. Okay. Anyway, a really common Freudian thing is this idea of manifest content or manifest thoughts. And basically, Freud says when you have a really distressing thought, something you feel guilty about, you try not to think about it very overtly. And instead, that content still comes out in your thoughts or your dreams in symbols. So, for example, let's say there's a woman who has had newborn twins and she's really sick of them. That thought is probably common, right? Because having a baby is very difficult. And it doesn't mean she doesn't love them, blah, blah, blah. She's still a good person. But just thinking, oh, I'm sick of this is an anxiety-provoking thought, and it's also guilt-inducing. So people tend to suppress those kinds of thoughts. So then let's say that mom has a dream that she can't sleep because 2 trees keep dropping coconuts on her head. Right? Mm-hmm. If Freud was talking to her about that dream, he might interpret it as though the manifest content is the coconuts, and those are representing her kids who aren't letting her sleep. So from a Freudian or psychodynamic perspective, dreams are really valuable because they're helping you understand the struggles you're dealing with, and what she would need to deal with is her fears about disliking her children. Okay? Let me take a deep breath.
All right, that was a lot. Breath. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so then the final one is the Jungian view, which, like you said, there's this collective unconsciousness and universal truths about things that we're drawing. Like if you look at a child's art, or things that artists are making and our dreams, they're all representing these universal things. So if, you dream about a cat eating babies, no matter where you are in the world, that always represents the same idea, or whatever. And every object in the dream represents something in your psyche. And from the Jungian perspective, everything in the dream is important. So whereas in the Freudian view, okay, yeah, that coconut probably represents the baby. In the Jungian view, why was it a coconut? What is it about coconuts, right? And this idea that it's not such an individual thing, that if 2 people across the world having the same experience are going to have the same nightmare, and it's all very, very meaningful.
But wasn't it actually a step deeper than that? Not just that because you and I both have the same experiences, we have similar nightmares, but that there's actually a shared consciousness, like a party line of subconsciousness going on?
Right, exactly. So, of course you dreamt about coconuts falling on your head because we all share the archetype of coconuts as the great evil or something like that.
Right.
And I think that's probably a comforting thought because
shared
life is confusing and we all have existential crises. And if you feel like, oh, but at least I'm sharing this party line of dreams.
Yeah.
It helps you make sense of things.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about why dream interpretation can be harmful and why I think all this is stupid.
And then we'll go on to the most interesting part of this, which is the pleasure kills.
Right, exactly.
Okay, sounds good.
First of all, dream interpretation can lead to spurious, i.e. false conclusions. So, for example, a lot of people put tons of faith into what their kids are dreaming about and kids' nightmares. And when your child turns about 3 or 4, they're going to start having nightmares. It's just a part of development. And maybe it's because they're finally at the age where they can talk to you about it. And a lot of parents collect these dreams and nightmares as clues about what's happening at daycare, etc. As though if your child is being molested, you're going to find out about it in this nightmare scape, right? Mm-hmm. And so if a kid wakes up crying in the middle of the night, it's pretty common for parents to ask tons and tons of questions about the dream and try to elicit all these details so that they can get this data. And that's not great. First of all, for all the reasons I mentioned above, no one really knows exactly what these dreams are referring to, and you don't want to lead to spurious conclusions. And especially for kids and their nightmares, if you pay a lot of attention to the nightmare, it's going to solidify it in their memory. Mm-hmm. So this is true for any nightmare. You've probably had tons of experiences where you wake up, you kind of laugh about a weird dream, and then when you try to remember it later, you just can't.
Correct. Yeah.
But if you woke up and then you had a 10-minute long conversation about it with your mother, mm-hmm. you'd remember that dream later. And then when you're trying to get to sleep that night, you're going to remember it. Yeah. And it's going to make it harder to get to sleep. So I don't like that emphasis, and I encourage parents not to do that. Memory is so malleable, and this is another area where dream interpretation can be really bad. So people put way too much faith in their dreams, and they can actually recreate memories to match the dream based on the interpretation. And what I mean by that is there's a study that was pretty frightening. They took a bunch of people, they all reported their dreams, and then no matter what the dream was about, it could have been about a cat eating a baby, it could have been about coconuts falling on their head, no matter what it was, they were given one of 2 interpretations. One interpretation was that a bad thing happened to them when they were about 3 years old. And the other interpretation was, oh, yeah, this just means you saw a duck yesterday. Okay, so one was completely, like, just some random thing. And mm-hmm. one was a critical bad event happened when you were 3. Mm-hmm. When they talked to these people down the road, they had new memories of bad things happening to them when they were 3. In other words, this interpretation, and they didn't realize they were doing it, just hearing the interpretation of, oh, wow, based on this, it sounds like you were molested when you were 3 or mm-hmm. some other bad thing, or you were in a severe car accident. Right. Then later on, when they talked to these participants, the participants had memories they reported of the car accident or the other critical event when they were 3.
Right. So
that's pretty dangerous.
It's super dangerous. As a psychologist, how would you recommend people deal with dreams that they might be uncomfortable with?
Well, if they're nightmares, I want to treat the nightmares. And I want to, one of the good things is that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which comes from being in a trauma or seeing a trauma, is actually pretty treatable. Mm-hmm. And also sometimes people have recurrent nightmares or consistent nightmares that aren't attributed to a specific trauma. They just have nightmares a lot. And that's also pretty treatable. Recommend also a consult with a psychiatrist. But one thing I'd recommend our listeners look into is imagery rehearsal therapy. And there's a good app I helped with called Dream Easy that helps you learn about it. And these are not difficult treatments. They don't take years and years. We're talking a few months, and then you have reduction in these nightmares. So I just really want to make that point that this isn't something you have to live with forever. If there's stress dreams, like I showed up for class and I wasn't wearing pants, that kind of thing, right. I'd want my client to build awareness about them and recognize, oh, I'm stressed. Like, that's the bottom line interpretation, right? The pants, to me, do not symbolize a specific kind of thing that happened to them. It just means I'm stressed. For me, it's moving. When I dream about moving to a new house, I know I'm really stressed and I need to take a step back and think about, okay, what are the things that are stressing me out? And I actively dissuade interpretation for all the reasons we talked about above.
Cool.
Yep. What we're going to do for the next couple of weeks, though, is actively record our dreams, right?
Right, exactly. So I've got a journal next to my bed and a pen.
Okay.
And before I even put my feet on the ground in the morning, I'm going to grab my glasses and this journal and write down as much as I can remember about my dreams.
Okay, cool. I'll do it on Google Keep.
You do whatever floats your boat. That sounds great.
Are we going to interpret it too, or just record them?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, so listeners, we'll be right back. We're just going to take a quick break. You'll listen to Pleasure Kills on super duper loud, and then we'll come back and talk about what happened when we dreamed all about it.
Bye, Julie.
Bye, Mark.
My name is Alex. I'm 26 and I'm a Planned Parenthood supporter and patient. I had a cyst on my ovary that was incredibly painful. Without birth control, it could return. I didn't have insurance then, so I went to Planned Parenthood. It was a lifesaver. Now that I have insurance, I'm still a proud patient. Planned Parenthood stands with me and my community.
Show your support for Planned Parenthood by scheduling your next checkup at plannedparenthood.org.
Quiz time. Who's got 4 legs, an opposable tail, and fans all over the world? It's Scooby-Doo, our favorite whipper. Join me and my guests on the Meddling Kids podcast for an irreverent review of Scooby-Doo. It's family-friendly, although there is occasional talk about hot villains. Join me, Julie Kinn, every Monday on the Meddling Kids podcast. We're back.
Hey, Julie.
Hey.
How did your dream discovery go?
Why don't you go first this time?
Okay, I will. So
Because this is your idea, and you like it.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you?
I felt like, okay, you remember when last time we recorded, I just felt like I was really negative, and I maybe.
Well,
I just
you kept
wasn't
telling
into
everybody that I'm the one who's obsessed with dreams and dream interpretation, and then as an example, you used one class in college where I wanted to wake you up at midnight. I mean, that's not really what I would consider obsessed, but whatever. You're the psychologist.
I am the psychologist. Well, anyway, I'm really glad we did this episode, and it wasn't as dumb in the end as I had initially said. And I just want to be all positive today, Mark, because I love you. You're my big brother, and it's not your fault that you have dumb ideas once in a while.
No, that's right. That's right. Exactly. So I recorded my dreams for 14 nights. 5 of those, I actually couldn't remember anything I dreamed about. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting, I actually wrote down on a couple of those nights that I just felt exhausted in the morning. So I was wondering if you know of any research that talks about, like, if you remember your dreams and if there's correlation or causality with how well you rested.
Absolutely it is, because you're going to remember your dreams better during the REM stage of sleep, and that only happens when you're well rested. If you are really sleep deprived, you're not going to remember your dreams. It's just super duper deep sleep.
Interesting. So if I'm in a really, did you just say that if I'm in a really deep sleep, I won't remember my dreams and therefore I won't be, and in that deep sleep, since you don't get into REM sleep, you don't get much rest?
No, more like the REM sleep is a symptom that you're well rested.
Oh.
Right? Like, if you're not rested, if you are seriously sleep deprived and you go to sleep, your body's just going to give you that deep, deep, deep sleep. It's going to give you the stuff you really need. And if you've gotten enough sleep, like if you sleep for 9 hours, that last hour is just kind of that bonus hour. And, you're probably going to get more dreams.
So how many nights did you record your dreams?
Every night. I did it.
And did you have any where you couldn't remember your dream?
Nope.
Wow.
Ever since I started doing the A Better Night's Sleep podcast, I've been prioritizing sleep really high, and I try to get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. Not to brag, but yeah. But also my kids knew I was doing this, and they wanted to know every morning what my dreams were, because some of them they thought were really funny. So,
Yeah, but you had some external pressure asking you what your dreams were, but how did that help you remember your dreams?
I think just as soon as I woke up in the morning, I remembered, I need to think about this.
Well,
whereas normally I disregard my dreams.
Well, I was doing that too. Like, before my feet even hit the floor, I was recording my dreams, but I was so frustrated on these 5 days when I couldn't remember anything.
Poor guy.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're not obsessed.
Shut up with that already. God. All right. So I do have one dream that I'll actually just talk through here.
Okay.
Not from an interpretation perspective, because I think it's just pretty obvious what it's about.
Okay.
All right. So this was on May 24th. This was actually the first night. So I was in a huge room with lots of other people being shown some kind of art exhibit, a giant construct made of fabric with many panels hinged at the corners. So when it's pulled in different directions, it would assemble into a spectacular representation of something. And I'm not sure what it was supposed to be. And then it wasn't working. I lined up all the people in a big rectangle shape and had them hold on to the panels, had them count off from 1 to get into alignment so they could assemble the panels. It wasn't working. It was too noisy. Didn't know what I wanted them to do. And then I woke up.
Wow.
So for a living, I'm a program manager.
Yeah, exactly. You
Right?
manage people.
Huh. So what could the interpretation be on that one? Like, God. Just ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
I mean, pretty obvious. That's what, like, a lot of my dreams are that I recorded. I'm not going to get into the details, but they're just so apparent and obvious. I don't have any cat eating baby dreams like we talked about in the first episode.
Right. Like I don't want to talk about too many of my dreams too, because it's super boring to hear other people talk about their dreams. But in one,
Wait, you're just saying that the dream I just told you about was super boring?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I like had a really nice glass of whiskey, but then my dream mind remembered, oh wait, Julie, you don't drink anymore. And I poured out the whiskey. I mean, it's just dumb.
You couldn't even get fulfilled in your dream. You know, Freud does say that most dreams are about wish fulfillment, right?
Right. Oh, but I hate that my morals come into it. Like I get so many, I know you're my brother, so I don't want to talk to you about fun stuff, but I get exciting dreams, but then halfway through those, I'm like, damn, I'm married. And then like my dream self has to stop.
Right. Yeah. So I read that Freud was either about having the positive wish fulfillment or negative wish fulfillment, or the fulfillment doesn't occur. Right. Was a huge portion of it. But that seems like kind of like, what is it? Post hoc, after the fact kind of reasoning.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think my dream was just, I was hanging out with people. We had whiskey. And then halfway through, I remembered, oh wait, I don't drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So did you benefit at all from focusing on this, or did it just make you distressed because you couldn't always remember them?
No, I mean, I'm not obsessed about dreams, so it didn't make me stressed out or distressed about, not being able to remember them at all. I thought it was pretty neat to be able to go back and read through after a while, because I don't remember having these dreams. I mean,
yeah, ditto.
There's some people that I know, and I couldn't remember them off the top of my head anyway, I guess. But some people, I think, can go back and remember a dream that they've had. And actually, there's one dream that I typically have over and over again, a nightmare that I have over and over again, that I could tell you details of, but I think it's just because of repetition of the nightmare.
Right. Yeah, no, I've definitely had some really significant dreams that I talked about a lot. And so those ones are stuck in my brain, and repetitive ones. And I know one that I've talked about a lot is, I remember when I was a kid, I used to dream that you and I would go on crime fighting adventures.
Oh, that's so great. That's awesome.
And I still have like some really visceral memories from like one of those adventures where we were in a haunted house. It was very Scooby-Doo. But I'm reading through my notes right now, and I don't remember this one at all, but I'm brushing Marc's hair with a fork.
Oh, my God, that's great. And, my friend Niall's getting married soon, but on May 26th, I wrote, I'm in a meeting with Niall, and he's super angry at me.
Are you not going to his wedding?
No, we totally are. We're going.
It's
just
funny.
Weird. And then there's a word that I wrote that I have no idea. So on June 4th, I wrote something about I'm in a taxi ride with an Iraqi woman, and there's a word SIETBIN that's surrounded in quotes, and with no explanation or anything about it.
It must be from the collective unconscious, and it's another word of some other language. You just don't. It's like Sanskrit
I was able
or something.
Awesome.
Or
Yeah. So my big repetitive nightmare, this is just all about being back at Indiana University for undergrad, not grad. And
you told me about this, getting lost in Ballantine Hall?
No, nothing like that ever. No, it's two things. One is looking for a place to live, and one is looking for a job. Like a work type job. And then the third part of it is always not having registered for the right courses. Those three things constantly. And my old roommates are in it. I always find a house that's like spooky and haunted for some reason. It's just crazy. And the jobs, I can never find a job. I never get resolution with these dreams. It's just awful.
That stinks. But do those happen more in a time when you're stressed about other stuff?
Oh, probably. I don't know. I should write down my dreams every night, and then I could actually go back and correlate them to what's going on in my actual life. Just
you could do what I did,
which
is I didn't interpret the specific dreams. I just categorized them qualitatively. Was this neutral, positive, or negative?
Oh, that's good. So what'd you find? What was the ratio of each?
They were all negative except for one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's wild.
During this whole time, all my dreams were like really stressful. Some were scary, some were sad. None of them were good. And so thanks a lot, Mark, for like making me think about it a whole bunch.
Right.
It stunk. A couple of them were just my husband, who I accidentally called Jason in our last episode, but he reminded me he wants to be called Olaf in our podcasting world. So Olaf, we were moving. I think I've told you my stress dreams are always moving. And he was unpacking boxes of random stuff. And he unpacked a whole bunch of boots and nuts and bolts in our new kitchen. And I was really mad at him. And I woke up and I was telling him about this. And he was like, Julie, the boots have to go somewhere. And he was defending himself. Another time he told me my organs were too fat.
What?
In the dream.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, like, pretty obvious, ridiculous stuff about my own body image and things.
I just did that same qualitative analysis of mine, and all 9 of the ones that I recorded are negative.
Right. But I was particularly stressed out during this 2-week period. Nothing like really bad was happening. Just I had a bunch of stuff going on at work and I was behind on some of my projects. And for me, that's really stressful.
Sure.
So, what that tells me is, okay, I need to take a step back and do more diaphragmatic breathing, etc., but not focus on the stupid dreams, because I don't want to just get stuck thinking about, why was I brushing Mark's hair with a fork? Anyway, is this something you would recommend other people do?
Yes, 100%. Even if you're not obsessed with dreams like Julie is.
You're totally obsessed.
You should definitely, even just for like a week, write down as much as you can remember about your dreams. It's really interesting. Just like the people from that movie Until the End of the World. It's cool to look back and see the weird stuff that you think about.
I disagree.
You don't think it's cool to look back and see that stuff?
No, it stressed me out. And I was already stressed out.
Okay.
Because I was like, am I really concerned about body image? Why am I dreaming about Jason telling me Olaf telling me my organs are too fat? That was weird. Is there something going on in my relationship that I need to have a serious talk? No, it's just some random weird dream. I mean, it made for a really funny story when I woke up, and but I don't want to put too much weight on it. I do want to think about, when I wake up, am I feeling stressed? And if I am, then do something about it, but not the specific content so much.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we'll agree to disagree.
We will have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, how about this? We just go with whoever knows more about it scientifically.
You're going to have to disagree and commit to my way.
You are older. We should do that experiment sometime, though, of like waking each other up in the middle of the night.
Okay, sure. That sounds great. Next time we're like on a camping trip. That won't be terrifying at all.
Okay, I do also want to thank the Pleasure Kills for the use of our song Modern Problems.
Yes, and I did not mean at all that we dislike your song. I love your song.
It's an awesome song.
It's just that the way Julie mixes, it's too loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or the way Mark's old ears work.
Right, exactly. It could be that, totally.
Well, you can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter at WagonPod, and you can give us iTunes reviews and tell everyone all about us. You can email us your suggestions at wagonpodcast@gmail.com. And thanks so much, everyone.
All right, Julie. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Marky.
That's really weird. What kind of fork was it?